Let's see if this works again. I don't know what's going on. Alright, so we're just setting up this metal here. This Fresnel with Corona set up to 999 to get it looking like a metal. And then the glossiness is too high, so bring this down to about 0.6. And we get something which looks a little bit more realistic. And then we need to get some brushing going on here, so we're going to use a noise map. Let's use noise. Put this into reflective glossiness. And let's change this. Basically the size is way too high, so I can come this down to 10 and just get an idea of what's happening. And this threshold is too blurry here, so we need to adjust this. So we're just going to go the threshold here, bring the low to 0.4 and the high down to like 0.5. And we can actually come down lower, like this can go 0.49, push them real close to each other. And then what we want to do is hey. Hopefully it doesn't cut off all on its own this time. Otherwise I'll just do a video and put it up that way. Yeah, it cut off on its own twice now, or 3 times even, so we'll see what happens. So I've just put a noise map here into the reflective glossiness. This is just set with glossiness is set to 0.6, and the Fresnel I've set up to 999. And obviously turned on reflection, made this 1, and I made this white, completely white. And then I've put this into reflective glossiness, and this is, I'm using millimeters, right? If you look at customize unit setup here, I'm using millimeters, and the system unit setup is 1 millimeter. So, you know, if you're using a different size, this is gonna be different here. So I'm just having a look. It's been a while since I've done it this way. Let me try a few things. Just need to squash this down. So we're just going to try this on here, and this shouldn't make any difference, right? If this is 120 by 120, it should look exactly the same. So on this, I'm going to change this to explicit map channel. And if I set this to 1 and 1, we should see something. Oh, it's planar, okay. Do cylindrical. Let's see this map, where is it? Let's turn off real worlds. Some real worlds, turn it off. There we go. And if I make this 1 again. I've just got to get this showing on here. It's just lagging there. Let's see, I've got this set at 5. Let's try 100. Let's try 1. Okay, we've got to go down small for this. 0.1. 0.1, we're seeing it. And then we want to go length 20, 20. Try 10, 10. 1, 1. It's the same, huh? what we need to do is squidge it anyway. So if I come down to 20 on here, nope, 20 here, there we go. We're squashing the map. Let's try 10. Let's try 10 on this and 10 on this. Let's try zooming in. I can zoom in easily by clicking on here and just going into 2D pan zoom mode and just coming right in. And where's this map? So let's try 2 and 2. Let's try, oh sorry, 1 and 1. Let's do this. 10, 10, 1, 20, 20. Let's try 5, 5. And what we're seeing here is the white is where it's not reflective at all, and the black is where it's completely reflective. And it's just reflecting the background. So, like if I reduce the map input here, if I bring this down to like 30% on the map, so anything 30% of the map, maybe even lower, 10. Yeah, it should start looking more real, you see. 5. So something like that. We start getting that brushed metal amount in. Reflective color, bring that up here. And again, just reduce this down to an amount that's decent, you know, take this off. Okay, good. Well, we're still, at least the YouTube channel hasn't stopped right now. All right, so hasn't stopped streaming on its own yet. So here we go. All right, so this just gives us a kind of very, very basic idea of brush metal going on here. And there's just something, and that's kind of what we want. And next what I'm going to do is I would usually put on a, actually I'm going to put this in a room. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coat on this. So just to put it in a room, all I'm going to do, keep it simple, just press top Z, and this is the scene I set up earlier. And I'm just going to put a box around this whole thing. So the box is like this. Let's push this height up to like 3 meters. And then what I want to do is just invert this box. Just give this a name, call it room. Oops. Room. And then I can just put an edit poly, and then select all of the sides, and then invert this. Edit geometry. I just press oh, here we go, flip. Alright. And then just come back inside here. We got this. And what we want to do is just assign a material so it's not pink everywhere. And this is what I've got on the back plane. See this plane here? I can get rid of that plane now. Just use this and assign the material and come back inside the room. Alright, and let's make this a bit darker because all the light is just bouncing off this. This is weird. Oh, translucency. Great, yeah, that's not going to make any difference. Sorry. My bad. Diffuse. Alright, there we go. And let's just come out of 2D pan zoom mode so we can just see what we're actually seeing. Okay, I'm going to just move this down a bit. I just want this line in the back. And just make this box an extra 500 taller just to put that roof back at the same height. Alright. And then I've got these lights and they're just really lighting the inside here because of the height on them. So again, basically I press W to move it, but if I keep this off it doesn't allow me to move it here. So if I do this, it means, you know, independent of the universal spaces, I can move it. And I can just bring these down. And what I'm going to do with each of these lights is just turn off so they don't, you can't see them directly and you can't see them in reflections. So hopefully they're just lighting the space, but let's see how much of a difference that makes. I don't want them disappearing completely, right? I mean, the other thing to do is leave them in reflections and tune them down a bit. Or I can turn down the reflections on this. And if I turn down the reflections on this, I'm just going to be coming in, and I've got this at 999, so I can try 10, for example, right now. Which didn't help, it just made it brighter. Alright. I'm going to turn these off for now. We can deal with it afterwards. Let's turn up this intensity. There we go. And I've done nothing with this wood material, so I'm just going to do something with that to get it some sort of realism. There's no reflection, nothing happening, so we're just going to put in some reflection here. Oh, hang on. Let's try this at 1. Try this at 0.4. Bring this down a bit. There's nothing really for it to reflect, right? So that's why it's also just looking a bit weird. And then we can also just take this and just put this into the reflective color, reflective glossiness, and just take a color correction. Oh, here we go. Color correction into reflective color. And I'm just going to go advanced. I'm just going to push this up high to 5 and just take the same one and put it in reflective glossiness so we can see what's happening. And then if I push this up to 10, we get some reflection happening. Alright. Now, to be honest, I probably should have a better setup for my scene, but we're just going to start with this and we'll take it from there. I mean, I can always grab an Evermotion plant and chuck it in there. Models. Just grab something, just so we've got something to reflect. Just look for some plants. What are you doing? Yeah, something like that. Alright, so just going to drag and drop this in. Copy? No. What's it trying to do? Let's stop this. Let's close this. Alright, let's try this again. Oops. Cancel. Merge. Just going to scale this down. Alright, Shift T. Just copy these in. And then this is a V-Ray plant, so I gotta do Corona converter. Start conversion. Alright, let's try this again. And we're just going to go start interactive. Oh boy. Alright. This is what happens when you just try and set up something and you just chuck it together and you're not really working. I'm working backwards. Like I'm working from the end product backwards instead of working forwards. Christ. Alright. What are we looking at? What's the room like? Let's make this much wider. Let's just go into vert mode. Oops. And move these. And move these. Just give more space for the light. And then, because if the light's bouncing off the back walls, it can cause issues, you know. So if I turn this off, what do we get? Still got all this light from this side, yeah, exactly. So if I put this back to 50, let's try this at 30. And this one, let's put this at 30. Alright, we got something better now. We got this plant that looks a bit funky, but it's there. I might grab some other things and chuck them in here as well, just get this looking a bit better. Let's just go to an old project. And grab something from there. I can use this. Sometimes when you're even working on a project, you get some weird lighting. So, oops. So it's not uncommon to actually have to sort this stuff out. We'll just open this up and then grab some things, bring them over, and that should be good to go. Like why it's lit this up so much and this not up as much at all is probably because this is so reflective. This is reflecting the environment and this is not reflecting the environment. So this is directly picking up light. That'd be my guess. Like if I turn this down, the reflection level on this down, if I turn it down to 0.3 for example, you'll see it'll get much brighter. So So part of the way around it, we can just take these and switch back on visible in reflections, because if they're not visible in reflections, obviously we're not going to see it. And here we see them again coming in the reflection, so that makes that more realistic, but again they're too bright, right? So what we can do, just move this. Let's just try moving them further away. So they're still there, still lighting the scene, but they're not as close. And then we still get the light, but not so much intensity. Let's try 50. This one I'm going to put up at 100. I want to have one side brighter than the other, just so I get some sort of like a bit of randomization, a bit of something going on. You know, otherwise it's just too similar. And then we can add in an extra light. And we're just going to put this above. Let's just go front view. We're going to make this a plane. Where are we? Sphere. Rectangle. And just make sure the light is coming down and not up. And then put it up here. And the Kelvin temperature, we're going to put this at 5000. So it's just slightly warm. And it's kind of what I expected. Way too bright. Because of the size of it, right? You just come down to 10. And come down lower to 5. And down to 3. Okay. And then this material on this plant looks all kind of funky. It doesn't look real at all, so we're just going to have to come in and try and fix this a bit. So we're just going to create a new view. Just select the the plant. And then just go up. I'm in the material editor here, and just go material. Yeah, from selected. And this will give me all the materials here. And because this was converted from V-Ray to Corona, it's going to be a bit funky. So alright, and then obviously we've got this normal map here being weird. So here you just got to turn on add gamma to input and it'll fix that. Let's just see output. Yeah, that's fine. You can also just add the gamma in here. See, they've got override 1, so click automatic. So that's, yeah, I didn't need to add this, and I needed to click on that if that was on automatic. Something in here is wrong. That's okay, that's okay. I just got an error with the rendering. Here we go, this one, yeah. So we can just click on here. And override should be set at 1. So I think that was it. Yeah, that's it. Alright. So you see the difference, like this one here, the override here is set on 1, which you need for Corona. And in here, I turned it off, so it's not set on 1. I put it on automatic, which is 2.2, but then you have to click on this little point here, where this guy, I don't have to click on that because it's set to 1. Alright, so that's fine. So now I just need to know, like I can go in and select and see where what this is assigned to, but the easier way is if I just take this out of the diffuse, take this, I mean it's already green, right? So everything's green, it's not so easy, let's make it like a red. And then click OK. And then we're just going to have a look. Like now we can see what this material is. And we can also just come in and I like doing this 2D pan zoom mode and just come in and have a look. Because you can see a lot more detail on what's happening with the materials here. When you really zoom in, you get a much better idea. Okay, so this is coming into the diffuse. And so it's just, are we happy with that? And the answer is no, because this is turned down to 45%. So it was 45% this and 55% whatever the default color was I had a minute ago. And yeah, I understand why they had it at 45. That's like not quite right? So they basically wanted to have some wood, and then they wanted to have some green. So we can just go back to green on this. Turn down the saturation, turn down this. And then you get this, like if I zoom in, we should see wood texture here. You see? So that's what they've done. They've just taken a wood texture and you've used the percentage so they can get it back to being, you know, a certain percentage green. They get a green instead of a wood texture. Alright, that actually looks okay. Kind of. Like, I'm guessing this is supposed to be an orchid. So if we look at orchids, we can get a better idea of what we're trying to do. If it is an orchid, it's a weird one, right? Like, because this is odd. No, it's not an orchid, is it? Yeah, I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, but still, I think these get some color going in there instead of having everything green is a better idea, or at least make these white. It's probably a better idea. So, what's this one? This is exactly the leaves. Let's use a color correction in here just to change the color quick. Just click on this. And then you can just do a hue shift, you see, you can just bring this around. So you can bring it like that, that looks kind of nice, and you can increase the saturation if you like. So something like that, that's kind of cool. And I could get into what each of these are doing, but you know, in my mind I always think if it looks okay, you don't need to mess with it. I think it is supposed to be an orchid, it's just a special type. So I can push up the saturation a bit, and at the same time I can come in and make it a bit darker, I think. Let's try 0.7. Let's try 0.2 just to see what happens. 0.5. Alright. We'll leave it there. We might come back to changing it later, but that's okay. And then we're just going to change these leaves a little bit, which I'm guessing is this here. No, this is the grass. See, the grass just went all desaturated there. So I'll put this back in. And you know what? It's a bit grey for my liking. I'm not sure why. Diffuses up. Oh, probably highly reflective. Look at this. Oh, the translucency color. That's why. It's grey. So now it's green. And this is the middle of this thing. See, we've made this all purple, but here we've left this yellow and red. So we can just take the same one and see what happens when we do this. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not sure I don't want this necessarily to be the same, looking the same here. So we can always put this back to 1, bring the saturation down a bit. Something like that, just so it's a little bit different. Otherwise everything looks identical, which is not so good. Alright, so this must be the leaf, right? Or at least some of them. Yes, some of the leaves. And I think this should be more reflective. Like here. this is more reflective. So I kind of want it to be more reflective. I know it's blurry, but it's just reflecting more. So reflective color, reflective glossiness. I'm not sure what the percentages is on this. Let's see. A 100 and 100. I'm going to drop these down to 50 and 50. What do I do? Put in here. 50 and 50. You can see it's made a difference here. Let's put this up to 3. I think that's kind of better, to be honest. It's more like the photo. And this must be the other leaf, which is just a different color. So we're going to do exactly the same, but use the different color. Let's set these down to 50 and 50. Come up here, make this Fresnel 3. And this glossiness is a bit too sharp here. You see this? Well, the bump is too high. So I'm not sure what the bump is on this thing. 0.3 is pretty high. Let's try 0.1. And we can always reduce this, the glossiness on this reflection. Let's bring this down to 0.7. See if that helps. That helps, right? Now I'm not sure I like the pink of this. It should be, I feel it should be more purple. Yeah, something closer to that. I think the middle bit can be left as is. Yeah, it's okay. Alright, and then now we've done all of the plant. Just press C here to get this all lined up. Not too bothered with, let's see. I think this is the case on the bottom. So we're just going to take this, see what this is. Yeah, see, that's just that. Or the vase, I should say. Alright, and it's just too light in my mind. So I'm just going to take another color correction, plug it in here. Double click on this. And then always when you use this, just use click advanced. I mean, standard does have some uses, but not many. So, like, about 99% of the time you're going to be using this. Just try darkening it here. That looks pretty good, I think. Okay, I think that plant looks much better. It does need some reflection happening here. I'm not sure what's going on. The bump, because it came over from a V-Ray, because it came over from V-Ray, it's going to be normally much too high. So, you know, you can try, you can even go 0, 5, should be fine. And then what we need is we need some actual color coming in here, like some actual reflection happening. So what have we got? 1.6 for now. Let's push this up again. And you can see some reflection starting to happen there. And you could, if you wanted to, I mean, it wouldn't be realistic, but it would look good, is you could just push this up higher. You can already see it starting to do what you want it to do, right? So you could just come in and push this up to 5. And just see, I mean, you can even come in and just try 10. I mean, it's just a cheat, right? You're just trying to get something that you think looks nice. It's probably a bit too much. Kids are back. So okay, so we got that, so that looks pretty good. Now back to this brush. Actually, we're just going to fix this wood quick. So this view, I can just rename this. This is just plant, and this is everything else. So we're just going to use another color correction in here, and click advanced, and I'm just going to darken this and get rid of some of the saturation. Alright, so we're starting to look better, and we've got this, and this is really the focus of what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to get up a little bit of a scene, a little bit of something happening. You know, we can also put a wallpaper on the background here just to make it so it has some sort of something happening and it's reflecting something instead of nothing, but maybe we'll do that in a minute. Alright, so we've got this guy, and right now all we have on this metal is, where is it? It's here. So we've just got this noise, and this noise is actually even, oh yeah, I remember what I did wrong now. Alright, we can get rid of this UV map and turn this back to, what do I got on? Explicit map channel, object, XYZ, and let's try this size, what was it, 10? And I'm going to push this back. Actually, let's just do this again. So just to show you, all we've got is we've got this has got Fresnel 999 on, and it's got glossiness 0.6. So if you just grab a noise and plug this into reflective glossiness, and then what you want to do is, you need this to be, it's going to be way too big, right? So you need it to be a size which you can see on here. So we can try 100. We can try 10. Part of the problem is we're not seeing it very much. Hang on. In here I reduced the map amount to 5. So let's put this back to 100. And what's happening here? Here we go. And put this back at 100. Okay, so now we can see what's happening. And this is size 10, but it's really blurry between these, so we need to push this down and up. So this high just means like white is set at, like how high on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think white is? And it says basically like, or a scale of 1 to 10, scale of 0 to 1. So it says white is set at 1. If I bring this down 0.5, you'll see it has brought that white right down. Like if I put it into diffuse and turn this off, let's turn this Fresnel off, let's make this 1. So that's brought the white has come right down. I'm just doing this to show you what I've done, right? It's brought it down halfway. So it was up here, and it's just brought that white gradually down. And you can do the same with black, because black is all the way down at 0. See, if I push black up to 0.1, you can see it makes it slightly darker. The darkest becomes slightly darker, 0.4. Things that were now grey will become black. And we can come all the way up, you know, almost match these, 0.49. And so now we've got 0.49 is black and 0.5 is white. So there's hardly any blurring between these. There's slight, you know, and you can push this even closer. I mean, sometimes it freaks out if you get the same color, the same amount. See, it's just doesn't know what to do. But if you come 0.499, should be fine. And now there's like no line there between there at all. But 0.49, 0.499, like you're not going to see that extra tiny bit of blur. It's never going to occur. It'd be interesting to see the difference in render time. And now what you want to do is you want to have this as lines, right? So the way we do that is all done with this tiling up here. So right now this is 1 and 1 and 1. And so you got to just figure out like which one do you want to have 0.5 or 0.2. Probably not this one. See, it's just made it. You see how the viewport looks different to the render? So that's why you have to do test renders on these so you can see what's occurring. Because the viewport isn't going to match. And then this, one of them is going to do exactly what we want. So let's see, if I put this at 10, it should do what we want. Yeah, there you go. It's just crushing it all together. And if I do 100, even more so, right? I don't think I need to go that far down. Let's try 50. But even this at 1 and 1, let's get this down to a size that we like, right? Because otherwise we're just going too low on a size that we don't like. Like for brush metal, this is not the size of the brushes. If I try size 1, that's kind of better, right? And then if I try this up at 10 or 20, and if I just zoom in, because I can, you can just see those lines. And so that's sort of what we're expecting on the brushing. So we can take this now and just put this into reflective glossiness. And then I got to take this, put this Fresnel back on here. Alright. And then what I had before is I can just reduce this effect. Like there's two ways of coming in, of reducing it. Either I can reduce it by changing this to grey and getting them closer so it's not doing it fully black and white. But easier is just to come in here and just making this reflective glossiness less. And so now it's 10% these lines, and the rest is this. Now I want these to be a bit bigger, so I'm going to come in here, let's make this size 2. Alright, so all we've got is we've got a little bit of brushing happening, and if you look at reference images you're going to find various things. You're going to find that let's see, like if you Google brush metal, you see you get this, and so we're just recreating these lines, right? And you don't have to do the amount I've done, you can do it much more. You can do it much more, like instead of having it down here, like you can make them much wider, right? Let's say if I put this up to, even if I put it up to 10, which I think is too much, and then I push this together more, so let's try 50 here. You get much closer to that. And we can even push it closer together. Let's try 100. Eventually you're going to push it so close together you're not even going to be able to see it. So all we're doing is we're just recreating these lines. Now the problem with any brushed metal is that you have other scratches on top of it. Like anything like this is just created in a computer, right? This is not a real texture. This is just computer generated. So, you know, I mean this is, it says brush metal but it's just not, right? Like where's the brushing? Someone hit it with something. Again, this is just computer generated. So, I don't know, I spent a bunch of time once I went out to the shops and I was looking around at brush metal things, different objects, and you'll notice that even this is, you know, this is computer generated too. But basically what you're going to notice is that some of them do it through reflective glossiness, some of them do it through reflective color, and they push up the glossiness, and some of them do it just through bump. Because a lot of items out there that you buy that are brush metal are kind of fake brush metal. They're just created to look like brush metal. They're not actually brush metal. And this is just messing up like this because the bump is just too high. So it's trying to calculate and figure something out, but like what is the default? Yeah, it's 1, right? So it's just can't really compute it. Even 0.1 is quite high in Corona. It's going to be close to 0.03 or something, 0.02. So, and some objects like to do a composite of all of them. They like to have some bump and some reflective color and some reflective glossiness. And you can do that and it will look like this, But I don't particularly like doing that. So what I'm looking at when I'm looking at brush metal is when I'm looking at any texture is you've got to look at all of the different parts that go into making it up. And over time someone's been smashing this thing and crushing it and doing various things to it, right? Like, I know this is just CG, but any metal, like if you just Google steel, again, this is just computer generated, right? But if you look at steel, it's like even these are new and they've got various forms of wear and tear on them. Like if you look at this has been, I don't know what's happened to it, but something has, right? Here, yeah, we can't really see that very well. There's various wear and tear happening on all of these. So when you look at something, even something brand new like this, open image in new tab, you can see all of this stuff that's happened here onto this metal, right? All of this will be from liquid that was poured on it, probably to cool it or something. I'm just guessing here, right? But it's got this, not deterioration, but it's got this oxidation that's occurred on the surface of it. These are brand new and they've got various oxidation and so on. Or oxidization, depending on how you want to say it. So that's what we're looking at. So basically we're looking at adding a bunch of details in to almost anything that any work that you're doing. If you want something to be more and more realistic, you have to add in details. And people like to take the shortcut. So by that I mean they'll go, let's just get a dirt map. Oh, hang on a second. I was doing this, wasn't I? No, it's not even in here. Okay, I'll just close this. This is an old project I was trying to grab something from to chuck into the scene, but it's fine. Alright, so, people just grab a dirt map. And this computer just lags at times. There we go. Maps. Grunge. Right, the kids are back. I think I'm going to have to go deal with the kids in a minute. So they take this and they'll just put this into reflective color. Or they'll put it into diffuse, And they'll just use this one map to handle all sorts of issues that they're having. And you can see on the inside this says problem, so we're going to need to put UVW map on. And let's try cylindrical. And that handles those problems. And the reason I'm not a big fan of this always is because it doesn't let you have a multi-layered approach to this, right? So we take this and I guess you can use the noise. Yeah, you can use it to create any texture. I mean, if you're going to use a noise to create a texture, you're going to want to really use like a Burcon noise or something like that, which you can download from GitHub. See, I've got them here. You can also do the brush metal with this, but you can use this to create any texture you want. Let's just make this bigger so you can see. So I would use this because it's got a lot more in it than the default noise map has. And you've got all of these different fractal types. And again, if you just turn these levels as how many iterations of noise it has on there. So you can have this down to 1, or you can come up to, I don't know, 5 or 10. It's just layering noise on top of noise on top of noise. So you can use this to create concrete textures and things like that. So yeah, you can use this for lots of things. And what you want to do again is, with this, is like I did there with the high and the low, like you're going to be messing around with this high and low continually, because you're only going to want it to show in certain places. Like right now this is kind of, I don't know, more like a mountain range from above or something, But if I bring this down to 0.5 and push this up to 0.47, you can start showing only in these areas. Like I will use this on Forest Pro all the time to get, if I've got grass, to get variation in color in grass textures, and to go, okay, these areas are going to be this color, this area is going to be that color. So I'd use Birkin noise or just a noise map to do that all the time. And you can obviously push these, like I've pushed this to right around the halfway mark, but if I leave this high at 1 and push this up to like 0.7, you can again see that you're only showing this through in certain places. So you can reduce the areas. You can still have it showing, but in much less spaces, if that makes sense. And then we're going to have this come down. Alright, well look, the kids are back and they're doing stuff, so I'm back on in about an hour, maybe half an hour, and I'll just finish this off. Bye. Alright, I love you too. Yeah, I just got to get them some dinner and get them back out, so I'll see you guys soon.